Once upon a time, in a quiet little town named Brookvale, there lived a young woman named Mara. She was 21 years old and known for her gentle heart. Mara had long black hair, soft brown eyes, and a smile that made people feel at peace. She lived with her parents and younger brother in a small house near the river that flowed through the town. Mara's family didn't have much money, but they were close. Her father worked as a carpenter, building furniture for neighbors. Her mother made clothes for people in town. Mara helped her mother sew and also worked part-time at a small bakery. Every morning, she woke early, helped with breakfast, and then walked through the misty streets to the bakery, where the smell of warm bread filled the air. Mara loved simple things: the sound of the river, the chirping of birds, the laughter of her brother, and the stories her father told at night. But deep inside her heart, she dreamed of something more. She dreamed of music, of standing by the river with her guitar, singing songs that could reach people's hearts. Music was her escape from worries, her secret world. One spring morning, while Mara was walking to work, she saw a young man sitting by the riverbank, sketching in a notebook. He had dark hair and wore a light blue shirt. His name was Daniel. He was new to Brookvale. His family had recently moved from the city because his father wanted a quieter life. Mara passed by him several times that week. Each time, Daniel smiled and said hello. He seemed kind, but also a little shy. One day, when Mara stopped to rest by the river, Daniel looked up from his notebook and said, "You're the girl who works at the bakery, right?" Mara nodded and smiled. "Yes. And you're the boy who draws by the river." Daniel laughed softly. "I guess that's me." They started talking. Daniel told her he wanted to become an artist. He loved painting landscapes, especially the river and the hills. Mara told him about her love of music. They found it easy to talk. Soon they met often after work, she with her guitar, he with his sketchbook. They sat by the river, sharing stories, songs, and dreams. Weeks passed, and their friendship grew. Mara sang while Daniel drew. Sometimes children stopped to listen to her songs, and Daniel would sketch them laughing. The two of them became well known in the small town, the girl with the guitar and the boy with the brush. One evening, while the sun was setting and the sky turned gold and pink, Daniel said quietly, "Mara, your songs, they sound like the river. Soft, but strong." Mara blushed. "Thank you. And your drawings, they feel alive." Their eyes met, and something silent passed between them, something deep and new. They didn't speak of love yet, but it was there, growing like the wildflowers by the riverbank. As summer came, Brookvale held its yearly harvest festival. There was music, food, dancing, and laughter. The whole town gathered in the square. Mara's friend Lily, who worked with her at the bakery, said, "Mara, you should sing at the festival. Everyone loves your songs." Mara was nervous. "I don't know. I've never sung in front of so many people." Daniel, standing beside her, smiled. "You can do it. I'll be there. Sing your song, Mara." Encouraged by her friends, Mara agreed. That night, when her turn came, she stood on the small wooden stage with her guitar. Her hands trembled. But then she saw Daniel in the crowd, smiling and nodding. She took a deep breath and began to sing a song she had written about the river, about hope, about dreams. Her voice was clear and full of feeling. When she finished, the crowd clapped and cheered. Mara smiled shyly, tears in her eyes. After the show, Daniel came to her with flowers. "You were amazing," he said. "You made everyone feel something real." From that day, Mara's life changed. People started asking her to sing at weddings and small events. She became known as the voice of Brookvale. Daniel continued painting, and his art also grew popular. They spent more time together, walking, laughing, dreaming. But happiness is never simple. Daniel's father, Mr. Carter, was a proud man. He had big plans for his son. One day, he said to Daniel, "You need to think about your future. You can't just waste time drawing. You'll take over the family business when I retire." Daniel tried to explain, but Mr. Carter wouldn't listen. Things became tense at home. At the same time, Mara's family faced problems too. Her father hurt his hand while working and couldn't make furniture anymore. The family's income dropped, and Mara had to work more hours at the bakery. She often came home tired, but she didn't complain. She sang softly while she worked, her songs keeping her spirit alive. Daniel noticed her worry. "Mara, you're working too much," he said one afternoon as they walked by the river. "I have to," she replied softly. "My family needs me." "I wish I could help," Daniel said, looking down. "My father doesn't understand me. He thinks I'm foolish for wanting to paint." They both sighed, standing side by side, watching the river flow. It seemed to understand their sadness. One rainy evening, Daniel came to the bakery. He looked troubled. "Mara, my father wants to send me to the city to work with my uncle. He says it's time I learned business." Mara's heart sank. "You mean you'll leave Brookvale?" He nodded slowly. "Just for a while," he says. "But I don't know when I'll be back." Mara felt her throat tighten. "I'll miss you, Daniel." "I'll miss you too," he said. "But I'll write to you every week." The next morning, Daniel left. Mara stood by the river, holding the flowers he had given her. She felt lonely, but she kept singing. Her songs now carried both love and longing. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel's letters arrived, full of stories about the city, about art galleries and crowded streets. Mara replied with news from Brookvale, the smell of rain, the laughter of children, the quiet nights by the river. But slowly, his letters became shorter, and then they stopped coming. Mara waited, checking the mailbox every day, but nothing came. Her heart ached, but she tried to stay strong. She threw herself into work and music. People still loved her songs, but inside, she felt a quiet emptiness. A year later, Brookvale faced a terrible flood. Heavy rain fell for days. The river that had once sung softly now roared angrily, overflowing its banks. Houses near the water were damaged, including Mara's. Mara and her family worked hard to clean up. Neighbors helped one another. Despite the disaster, the people of Brookvale stood together. One day, as Mara was clearing debris near the bakery, she heard a familiar voice call her name, "Mara." She turned, and there he was, Daniel. He looked older, thinner, his clothes wet from the rain. "I came as soon as I heard about the flood," he said. "Are you all right?" Mara couldn't speak at first. Tears filled her eyes. "You came back." "I had to," he said softly. "I never forgot you." They spent that day helping people, carrying water, handing out food. When the rain stopped, they walked to the river together. The once clear water was muddy, full of broken branches, but it was still the river they both loved. "Mara," Daniel said, "I'm sorry for not writing. My father made me work long hours. I wanted to come back, but he said I was being foolish again." Mara looked at him sadly. "You don't have to explain. I understand." He took her hand. "I want to stay this time. I want to paint again, to live my own life." She smiled faintly. "It won't be easy, I know," he said. "But if you're here, I'll find a way." For a while, things were good again. Daniel painted every day, and Mara sang in the evenings. They helped rebuild the town. People admired their strength. But Daniel's father soon arrived in Brookvale, angry and disappointed. He told Daniel, "You've thrown away your future. I won't support you anymore." Daniel stood firm. "Then I'll make my own way." His father left without saying goodbye. Life became hard for Daniel and Mara. They had little money, but they had each other. They spent quiet nights by the river, dreaming of better days. One autumn evening, Daniel said, "Mara, someday I want to open a small art school here, so children can learn to paint. You could teach them music." Mara's eyes shone. That would be wonderful. But fate had other plans. That winter, Mara's father grew sick again. She had to spend all her time caring for him. She stopped singing in public, and Daniel visited whenever he could, bringing food and warmth. After several weeks, her father passed away. Mara was heartbroken. She cried for days. Daniel stayed by her side, holding her hand, helping her family. When spring returned, Mara slowly began to sing again, soft songs of love, loss, and hope. Her voice was deeper now, touched by pain but full of strength. Daniel painted her often by the river, under the trees, smiling through tears. His paintings captured her spirit, and people from other towns began to notice his work. One day, a gallery in the city offered to show Daniel's art. It was a dream come true, but it meant leaving Brookvale again. "Mara," he said quietly, "they want me to go for 3 months. It could change everything." She looked at him, her heart heavy. "Then you should go. You've worked so hard for this." He hesitated. "But what about you?" "I'll be here," she said softly. "Brookvale is my home." They hugged tightly, both knowing that life was pulling them in different directions again. Daniel left for the city. His exhibition was a success. People loved his paintings of the river, the girl with the guitar, and the little town. He wrote to Mara when he could, but letters came less often. Fame began to grow around him, and he was invited to travel more. Mara was proud of him, but sometimes, when she walked by the river alone, she sang songs full of longing. She missed his laughter, his sketches, his gentle eyes. Years passed. Mara stayed in Brookvale, teaching children music and helping her mother. Daniel's name became known in many places. One summer, after almost 5 years, he returned. His hair was a little grayer, his eyes wiser. He went to the bakery first, but Mara no longer worked there. Someone told him she was by the river. As always, he walked there and saw her, sitting on a stone, singing softly to herself. When she saw him, she smiled that same soft smile he had never forgotten. "Daniel," she said, "you came back." "I had to," he replied. "I missed home, and I missed you." They talked for hours, sharing memories. When the sun set, Daniel said quietly, "I wanted to tell you, I'm getting married." Mara froze. The world seemed to stop. "Oh," she whispered. "She's an artist too," Daniel said softly. "She helped me when I was lost. I thought you should know." Mara nodded, forcing a smile. "I'm happy for you, Daniel." He looked at her with pain in his eyes. "I'll always care about you, Mara. You were the first person who believed in me." She touched his hand gently. "And you were the first who heard my songs." They sat in silence, listening to the river's endless song. It was no longer the sound of dreams, but of memories, sweet, sad, and eternal. When Daniel left the next morning, Mara watched from the bridge as he walked away. She didn't cry. She simply smiled, whispering to the wind, "Goodbye, my friend." Years later, people in Brookvale still spoke of the girl who sang by the river and the boy who painted her songs. Mara never married. She stayed in her little house, teaching children and caring for the town. Sometimes, she still sang at the harvest festival, her voice soft and warm. She sang not of sadness, but of gratitude, for love, for memories, for life. And when the evening light touched the river, she thought of Daniel, somewhere far away, painting another sunset. The river kept flowing, carrying their story forever, the song of love, of time, of letting go. And though their paths had parted, their hearts had once met, and that, Mara knew, was enough.